A video it shall be. Okay, so this book is by a man named Jefferson Fisher called, ooh, it's in reverse. You can't read it anyway. It's called The Next Conversation. Jefferson Fisher is a lawyer in Texas who does a lot of Instagram and I guess Facebook videos, and they're short, so like 45 seconds long. He started doing shorts as a competitive way in law to get his name out there, because that's just smart marketing. Like, once upon a time, video was everything for marketing. Now everyone does video, so a lot of smart marketing people don't do that constantly about themselves because no one watches, myself included. But anyway, so he started out that way, trying to get in public eye, and it was golden. He realized, just the way he was raised in a Christian home, learning how to talk to people, he knew how to talk. And so I would encourage you, watch his videos. He never really says anything about God in his videos because he's putting it out there for people to just dig in and latch in and start liking him. I bought his book. I don't really read. And the reason he wrote a book is because so many people in his sphere of influence were like, you need to write a book and write down everything you're talking about down so we can learn it. So that's where I'm going to go. There is this chapter on defensiveness. And I'm just going to go through some basic things, because when I was thinking about in our Sunday school lesson today, it's all fine and dandy to tell you, be humble. Okay. How are you going to be humble if you're mad? Or how are you going to be humble if you feel defensive? Or if you feel attacked? Or maybe in your home life, like mine was growing up, but my parents were always like, constantly. It's really hard to feel at peace and to feel humble, and even sometimes to feel repentant and realize what you're doing wrong if you're always wearing an armor and carrying a shield. Because if you're constantly feeling attacked, then it's really hard to see what you need to see. And so that's what this book kind of dives into in the last couple of chapters. And I'm outside, it may get kind of noisy here and there. So I'm just going to read some parts of it. Defensiveness is the suit of armor you put on when you feel triggered. Keep that word in mind, triggered. We're going to come back to that. It's a stress response that sometimes takes different forms. Maybe it's a feeling of a knot in your stomach. And when I mentioned in our lesson today, when my parents argued, it always messed my stomach up and I would have to go to the bathroom. Or I would just try to get away. Or I have somebody in my life that I have to constantly email, and she's just battles every time. Everything out of her mouth is an attack. And so when I have to email her back, I feel my blood pressure in my neck. It's just like this hot feeling of, oh, I have to write this woman back. I have those people, and you might too at school, or maybe it's a teacher, or maybe it's somebody that is on a team or whatever, or a coach. And so a lot of times the way it comes out when we're starting to feel defensive is you interrupt. You ever have somebody and you just like, yeah, but you didn't even, and you cut them off before they're talking. Or maybe you raise your voice at them when you're feeling defensive. Sometimes I raise my voice. Don't ask my family. I try not to. Or maybe you resort to a personal attack. Well, you're just an idiot. Or I just think that you're clueless. You don't listen. You like we say these things that kind of attack them. That's an attack. You're being defensive, so you attack back. Or maybe you dismiss their point of view. Yeah, whatever. Like, you're gonna listen to me. You walk off. Deflecting to a past. Some defensive people, they always dig up the past. Well, you just did that, 3 days ago. Who are you to say this to me, or whatever? Or the last one is generalizing. And this probably happens out of your mouth more than not. You never listen to me. You don't get me. This overgeneralization that we throw out there because we're feeling like we need to defend ourselves. And the thing is, the reason we get defensive is a deep-seated aversion to being told we're wrong. And there's 3 reasons that Jefferson goes into of why we don't like being wrong. Number 1 is a social evaluation. If I'm wrong, am I going to look stupid? Am I going to feel humiliated in front of my friends if I'm proven wrong? Or our personal identity. I think as girls, we do this a whole lot. If I'm wrong, do I still matter? If I'm not right in this, are they still going to see me as valuable or important? And we start doubting our self-worth. Another thing we do is we fear loss. If I'm wrong, am I going to lose? Am I going to lose this friendship, this person, this boyfriend, this whatever, this relationship, this reputation? And we're afraid And so we build a wall and we put up a shield and we get defensive. And it's really hard to see the best people or the best in people when we're doing that, because we're like reactionary instead of seeing it for maybe who they are. And I told somebody this past week. He's a guy in our youth group dealing with somebody who was just attacking. He attacked this person in school, and he's a friend of y'all's, but he attacked his mom, he attacked his faith, and he attacked a friend of his. And so he was just like super defensive. And I reminded him, I said, look, if this person is someone that you know and they're not normally like that, I wonder what's going on. Because sometimes the person that we see isn't who we're seeing at all. We're seeing a tired, a day, a bad event. We're seeing the event coming out of their mouth instead of seeing them as a person. And what happens if we get defensive to that is it builds a wall. And all of a sudden they don't see us. All of a sudden we're hiding behind our own defense because we don't want to be attacked. I said the word trigger. Let me find where I earmarked those pages. A great thing about understanding yourself, and I talk a lot about yourself. I talk a lot about knowing your value. But you also need to know how your brain works. Because if you understand yourself, then you can help understand other people too. So imagine you're feeling defensive. When the heat rises in a conversation, your physiological response comes first. Okay, your body, your system, the way you were made, that initially has a trigger. Your internal wiring, known as your autonomic nervous system, including your brain and your spinal cord and all the things that are attached, which is pretty much your whole body, all of that has a reactionary response. Sometimes you'll feel hot. Sometimes you'll feel your blood pressure in your neck. Sometimes you'll feel a tension in the back of your head or in the front of your head. You feel it in your stomach. Your body responds to an attack. So it's really important to know when you're starting to have that, you're tensing, you're bringing your shoulders up and you're like, ooh, I'm getting real tense. If you see that in yourself, that means you can choose your outcome. Just because we start out that way doesn't mean we have to ride it out. It gives you a better way of self-control when you have conflict. So you got to know your triggers so that way you can sense when your body's doing that. One of the triggers naturally is two things: fight or flight. Those typically be the two major categories that every single person falls into when they are feeling defensive, when they're getting attacked. The fighters in our group, that's me, they might want to throw a punch, like the dudes, or say a hurtful word, or absolutely stand your ground, or be confrontational. Those are the fighters, the ones who are like, I'm not backing out of this. And then you have the ones who are the flighters, the ones who want to avoid the situation. They don't respond to the text. They may even hang up. They excuse themselves from the situation, or they just leave. They're out of there. If they're feeling attacked, I'm gone. Not today. And so most of us fall in those two categories. And if you understand who you are, and you don't, and I'm not saying it pigeonholes you, you don't always have to do that, but that's kind of your natural response. If you start to understand that a little bit, then you'll know how to kind of react and be able to get your mind to calm down. In the same way, people's minds tend to calm down two different ways. You have the rester. Usually the fighters like to rest. They like to step back, recover, take a breather. They allow themselves to rest. And then you have the thinkers. They want to digest to recharge. They want to store their energy, refuel. They'll fix their mood. They're kind of the fixers. And so when they feel attacked, to recover from it, they're like, okay, let's go over the conversation and analyze. So there's a lot of different ways that we can recover from feeling attacked. So here's a point where it says meet your triggers. And I'm going to go through them in probably maybe 3 more minutes. I know we're pushing 9 minutes now, so it's kind of a long video. I used to do videos all the time. It's kind of fun. Okay, so number 1, physical triggers. That would be like one of your parents raises their voice at you, or they're like, you know, like physically mad up in your face, or maybe you have a coach or a teacher at school and they get way too close, like they're just kind of looming over you, or a friend. A physical trigger could be like somebody pointing their finger at you and getting up in your face, or maybe somebody unexpectedly grabs your arm because they're trying to hold you back. Hey, wait a minute, come here. Those can be triggers, like anything that has to do with your body. Another one is psychological. We have triggers in our head that sometimes we do ourselves. Social evaluation triggers involve the fear of negative judgment, or rejection or humiliation. These perceptual triggers are the questions that you ask yourself every day when you're faced with weird social interactions. Like, if I say this, are they going to think I'm smart? Will they get offended? Will they want to be with me more? You ever ask yourself those? If I do this, am I going to come across as arrogant? That's my number one. I don't ever want to come across as arrogant. I know I'm a confident person and I'm a strong person, but I don't want to be arrogant. Or if I do this, will I be criticized? Or if I look this way, am I going to be accepted? Are they going to say I'm weird? Are they going to make fun of me? Will they think I'm successful or a failure? We have these psychological things that we start asking ourselves, and it puts our armor up. No one did anything to us. We're assuming something's going to happen. And then there's the personality threats. Competence triggers. You musicians and you sports and your athletes, this is all over you. If I fail, does that mean I'm not confident and I'm not capable? If they correct me, am I no longer seen as good enough? Y'all, in orchestra, I had this one gentleman. If I consistently miss something like a staccato, which is where you play the note short and like sounding like that, if I'm forgetting something like that, he's like, hey, those are staccato. Or just letting you know you're coming in a 16th of the beat too early here. Thanks. I have the same music. I don't say that. I think it. But yeah, that competence, that, oh, you're stepping on me. You're telling me I'm not good enough. I have that a lot. Maybe you do too, because I know we have a lot of actresses and musicians in our group. Or there's the autonomy. Again, teenagers, am I being micromanaged because you think I'm too stupid to do it on my own? Do I have any say in the decision that you're having me do? For example, a seasoned nurse or a teacher suddenly finds themselves micromanaged by their administrators, or you in your home. Maybe you find yourself micromanaged by your parents or the people who are in control of your life. Does it make you defensive? Purpose triggers. Does my work even matter? And that's why I asked the question that I did today. If I'm not here, would anyone notice? Like, if I don't show up, are they going to see me anymore? Will it matter? Or maybe you have a school project. If I drop out, are they going to do just fine without me? David, my husband, has that a lot at his job. Like, am I replaceable? And then you have the value triggers, and those are really sensitive. That's when your belief system is getting challenged. And they're trying to make you feel bad for believing the way that you believe. That can cause a trigger as well. And then the last one is the fear of loss. Are you going to lose something? Are you going to lose the love or the appreciation or the person or the contact? And that can make you feel triggered. And again, all of this, and this is long and drawn out. I would have to like shorten it up a whole lot because of our Sunday school lesson time. But all of this I think is great to think about. Do I know myself? To see when I'm tensing up and I'm about to go off and I'm about to be defensive, because you can't share the love of Jesus as easy if you're doing that, if you're bowing up. So do you know your triggers? Do you know the things that make you feel defensive? And again, at King Ahab, obviously his trigger was being told he's wrong and he's the king, and everybody knew he was wrong. He didn't want to be told that. Understanding yourself opens up you understanding someone else better. Because again, if you're defensive, you have a wall. If you take that wall down, all of a sudden you're able to hear, what is that person seeing and speaking into my life? And a good thing to combat your own defensive is, number one, breathe. Did you know your brain is completely affected by your lungs? Take a good deep breath. Take a good deep breath. And then decide how you're going to talk. Allow yourself to collect. Again, your body is doing things. It's getting hot. You have a higher rapid heart rate. Things are going on in your system that makes you feel out of control. So if you take that deep breath and then you decide what to do next is critical. I don't know where it is in the books. I'm just going to tell you. And another thing that can help you when you're talking to people is, just because they throw a ball at you does not mean you have to catch it. Imagine someone speaking to you and you can see their words. Take a minute, take a breath, and let those words fall to the floor. You don't have to pick them up. Just because somebody says something to you doesn't mean you have to reply. It doesn't mean you have to pick up the ball and throw it back. Because sometimes people do that to make you have a reaction. And a lot of times if somebody says something mean to you, have you ever thought about some of these systematic ways of responding to them? Let's say that somebody's just being a jerk at school or even at church, and they say something negative. You know what you could do? Did you mean to come across as inconsiderate? Or maybe that's not your word. Did you mean to come across mean? You sounded pretty hateful saying that. Is that how you wanted to come across? Ask them questions. Get curious. If somebody just spouts something off at you and they're like, you know, nails coming at you, are you meaning to sound so sharp right now? And let them respond. Because sometimes people, they don't realize how they come across. Oh, no, I didn't mean to come across that way. Or make them say it again. They call you stupid. You want to say that again. And just wait for it. Because sometimes they won't be bold enough to say it twice. And again, it's not having to fight them. It's making another person in that moment simply think. Are they really thinking about how they're coming across? Or turn your responses into you. Instead of saying you, say I. I don't like it when you talk to me that way. Okay, if you're choosing to yell, I'm going to choose to walk away. If you're going to be disrespectful to me or talk bad about my family or my God or whatever, I'm not going to listen to that. Let them know where you stand and let them know what your behavior is. Because, girls, you cannot control other people. You can't control how they talk to you. You cannot control how they see you. But you can certainly control your response. And you can decide if you're going to catch those words or let them fall to the floor. And you can decide how you're going to control your reaction. I'm not going to respond when people interrupt me. It's as simple as that. Let them know what your boundaries are, so that way you're coming to the table peacefully and not super defensive. So again, that's great tips from this book, and I'll tell you again, the next conversation by Jefferson Fisher. Google Jefferson Fisher. He'll come up on Instagram. Easy 30, 45-second ways of how to talk, how to respond to people when they're arrogant, when they gaslight you, when they say things that are hurtful. And so again, applying that to the Bible, Jesus wants us to interact with people peacefully. He wants us to walk humbly. But he also wants to know who we are in him. He wants us to take our gifts and utilize them to help people. So sometimes we have to get out of the way. Sometimes we have to put our armor off to the side and ask questions and get curious and figure out what somebody actually wants from us in that moment. Alrighty, well, this is kind of a long devotional. Ended up being 17 minutes, but it's exciting to speak into you, whoever wants to listen to this live. I love all of you. I'm so glad that I get to see you every single week. See ya.